So this is a video I've been wanting to do for a while now. I've been really thinking about doing this, and it's more just kind of like another topic off the top of my head that I've just never really had the time to get off my chest. And it might come as a shock to some people, but then again, there may be others in the Warhammer community who are just like, yeah, that tracks. And that is talking about the more... Well, actually, let me word this better. That would help. Basically talking about how I think the Traitor Primarchs are more interesting than the Loyalist Primarchs. And I know that's I know some people are like, oh, heresy! Literally. But that's the thing, is that... And don't get me wrong, my favorite Primarch, Vulcan, is a Loyalist. So why am I on here doing a video talking about how I think the Traitor Primarchs are more interesting characters? Well, let me explain. I think it has to do a lot. I think one of the major things is that I think one of the major things of why I think the Traitor Primarchs are far more fascinating is their fall. I mean, you could argue Horus's is a little more like, well, you know, kind of in part of Erebus being Erebus, but, you know, that's neither here nor there. But the others, like Fulgrim, Angron, you know, Perturabos is some of them, and Magnus did nothing wrong. He totally did everything wrong. And Alfarius, Conrad, all of them. Far more fascinating, and a lot of them do have a lot of great reasons as to why they fell. The two I think had the best reason to fall to chaos were Angron and Fulgrim. Let me explain. For Angron, the dude literally got cheated out of by the Emperor of standing alongside the people he fought and bled for in this rebellion, basically going all Spartacus and having one final stand, and then the Emperor, you know, whisked his son away. And now he can never go back to that planet without being laughed at and called a coward. All of his other friends are dead, all of that. And his father couldn't even, and all of it caused by the Butcher's Nail. The other thing is, yeah, the Butcher's Nails were put in there, and his father was like, nah, I can't get him out. I mean, I could, maybe, but I don't want to. So Angron, you know, Angron falling into this chaos alongside the World Eaters and projecting that anger onto others is really heartbreaking. He's like, when you really think about it, Angron, you know, I know everyone likes to be like, ooh, big angry man, you know, big angry dude, and, you know, looks like a big red demon, and he just yells all the time. The thing of it is, he's just a really sad man who all he can do is feel anger. That's really the really sad part with him, is that he literally just could not, you know, be allowed to feel anything else but anger. And again, when you stack that on top of the fact that the Emperor, essentially, for lack of a better word, shamed him, it really kind of puts into further perspective, right? Like, that's the other thing, is that it really puts into perspective as to what that is. Now, Fulgrim is really also is pretty tragic as well. He shouldn't have touched the penis sword. I'm just like, let's get that out of the way. But the other thing is, Fulgrim was really like, yeah, I'm all like cool and I'm beautiful and all that, and everybody loves me. But on the inside, Fulgrim is like, I have some serious imposter syndrome. And on top of that, everyone I've ever loved, I outlive and die. Remember, he was married multiple times, and he just stopped caring. And in order to not care, you have to care just a wee bit. So, and that was the problem, was that he just, you know, could not, he kept outliving the people he loved. Everyone he knew back when he was, you know, before he realized what he was like this dude fighting for the people. And it got robbed from him. Mortarian's the same thing, where Mortarian was a champion of the people who proclaimed, you know, that nothing can kill him and things like that. And the Emperor robbed him of his glory. And I know the more I say this, the more I know a lot of people are like, damn, I feel like a lot of this comes from father issues. No shit. The other thing is, and my girlfriend said this too, because she's getting into Warhammer, when I tell her more about the Traitor Primarch, she's like, so you're telling me that this is all, like, could have been solved with therapy? And I replied with, that doesn't exist in Warhammer. But yeah. So Mortarion, even Horus, even before the whole Erebus stab you thing, Horus himself was beginning to have doubts. Not to mention, on top of that, he wanted to honor the 2nd and 11th Primarchs. Lorgar, let's talk about, actually, let's talk about Horus a little bit more. Horus really wanted to honor the 2nd and 11th Primarchs, but he wasn't allowed to. Horus even, wanted, at the beginning of this, wanted to be, mankind free of the Emperor's yoke. Granted, it was, corruption and whatnot, but still, that was a goal. Lorgar wanted to praise his father. That's what but then, Monarchia happened. And it broke him emotionally. It broke him seeing the father he saw as a god is nothing more than a monster. And all of this could have been solved if the Emperor wasn't such a dick. Even, don't say, oh, the Loyalist Primarchs don't think he's a dick. Go talk to, fucking Gilliman about that. See how that works out. The other thing is that you have so many of these, Conrad, in his own twisted edgelord way, wanted to do things right by the people. Didn't exactly turn out that way, now did it, but still. Alvarius, had his schemes and whatnot, and, Alvarius, Omegon, however you want to look at it, they both had their own schemes and whatnot, but in their own right, they had a idea for a good reason to do this. All of them, it's kind of, they're tragic characters. All of the Traitor Primarchs, when you really get down to brass tacks, they are just sad. Even Horus said this best. The master of they're broken monsters. They're all sad, feeling unloved, unfulfilled, and cursed by their own genetics. And it felt like that they were gonna, it was almost like the Emperor predetermined that these guys were going to be the way they are. It almost feels like that. Almost. Again, I don't think the Emperor prepared for it, but again, it feels weird that, the Emperor just kind of turned his nose up to how his kids were starting to act, especially after making Horus the War Master. Yeah. So, that's why I think the Traitor Primarchs are incredibly fascinating characters. Are they? Oh yeah, also Magnus. You could have picked up I know the whole thing with the Space Wolves involving on Prospero. That could have been avoided. Magnus, if you just did your fucking job, if you just listened, you could have avoided Prospero. But that's another thing. Magnus, he just wanted to learn. And also, let's be real, the Emperor was going to dick him over anyway by putting him on the Golden Throne had it not been for the heresy. He would have just been sitting there for all eternity. So, yeah. Anyway, getting back on point is that they're all tragic, broken men. And they are and don't get me wrong, I love some Loyalists, but Traitor Primarchs are incredibly fascinating to read. But you guys tell me in the comments below, where do you stand on the Traitor Primarchs? Do you like them, hate them? Comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.